Hello, welcome to Idea to IPO. Hi, my name is Rob. I organize Idea to IPO. We've been holding events in Silicon Valley for many, many years. We launched officially on February 1st, 2010. At that time, we had no members and no events on our calendar. At this stage, we have over 350,000 members among all our meetup groups all around the world. We've organized, promoted, and produced over 3,500 events. By any standard, by any measure, we're the most active, most prolific startup event organization in the history of Silicon Valley, bar none. Thank you. Thank you to my fan club. We hold venture capital panels, legal workshops, networking events, and more. We hold an event nearly every day of the week. Check out our schedule at ideatoipo.com. Our mission is to promote entrepreneurship, support entrepreneurs, build community, and provide value in the Silicon Valley startup ecosystem. To that end, we provide content that is practical, actionable, and relevant, stuff you can actually use to succeed as entrepreneurs. We believe in building community because Silicon Valley is a global aspirational ecosystem that attracts people from all over the world who come here to do great things. Who here is not originally from Silicon Valley or the greater San Francisco Bay Area? Roger, raise your hand. So who here was born and raised in Silicon Valley or the greater San Francisco Bay Area? Wow, we got like 7 people. That's a record. Anyway, so to you natives, welcome. But whether you were born and raised here or just arrived last night, it's important for us to provide multiple channels for you to meet people, build relationships, and grow your network. With regard to value, it's important that we provide value at each and every one of our events. Not just value for your money, which is important because we know many entrepreneurs are struggling financially. So we make sure our events are free or affordable. And if you cannot afford the cover charge for whatever reason, come talk to me and we can work something out. And at each and every one of our speaker events, we make sure that we provide a delicious buffet meal. Is that a delicious buffet meal? Well, that's a record. I think 20 of you think so. So thank you so much. I want to thank our sponsors for contributing to that delicious buffet meal. More importantly, though, at each and every one of our events, we want to make sure that we provide value for your time, which is your most valuable resource. Anyone here getting any younger? Besides this young man? Anyway, so when you invest your valuable time to come to our events, we want to make sure that you maximize your ROI. We have many partners that help us do what we do: law firms, venture capital firms, angel investor groups, incubators, accelerators, colleges, universities, and lots of other players in the Silicon Valley startup ecosystem. Tonight, we're grateful to Procopio for hosting us at this beautiful venue in beautiful Palo Alto. Is this a beautiful venue? Okay. Well, let's hear it for Roger and Procopio. Do you want to come up and say a few words? A few.
Pardon?
A few words.
20 minutes? What? How you all doing? Okay. No, seriously, how you all doing? Woohoo! Excellent. Welcome. I am so excited to be able to host you guys tonight. Sanjit is an amazing guy, an amazing speaker, an amazing intellect. So I can't wait to hear what he says tonight. Just a few words about Procopio because our CMO marketing director is here. And Kevin, yeah, there you go. So I have to say a few words about Procopio. We're an AmLaw 200 law firm. We have offices here, obviously in Palo Alto, San Diego, Phoenix, DC, Las Vegas, and there are probably others that I just can't remember off the top of my head. I head up our emerging growth and venture capital practice group. So I deal with startups from inception all the way through the IPO. And I was an entrepreneur for 10 years before I became a lawyer. Sorry, Freudian slip. No, not really. So I kind of, I know what it's like to sit on the other side of the table. And so I really try and be the trusted advisor to my clients that I wish I had when I was an entrepreneur. But we have 27 different practice groups. IP is probably the one that I lean on most for my startup and emerging growth clients. So if you have any legal needs, feel free to speak to me. I'll be around tonight. Thanks, Rob, for hosting this, and Sanjit, thanks for giving your time tonight.
A few of our other partners are here tonight. I would like to also have them come up and say a few words. Let's hear it for Boyd and Stanford Hacker House. Applause.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you all for being here. My name is Boyd Lever. I'm a software engineer. My expertise is in JavaScript, so I'm going to stick to my script. I run StanfordHacker.com, and I want to introduce Stanford Hacker House. If you are looking for a great place to stay in Silicon Valley, in downtown Palo Alto, across from Stanford University on a month-to-month basis, come and see me at my table. The cost is $1,102 a month with all-inclusive amenities. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Okay, next up we have Wallace with Metis. Applause.
Thanks, Rob. Always a pleasure supporting you in your events. I'm Wallace. I own Metis Real Estate. We're a full-service real estate company, and we primarily do residential, buy, sell, also lease commercial properties for you. And then if any of you have issues with housing or need housing, temporary or whatnot, we have Stanford Hacker House, and then we're also happy to search through our resources for you. So I'm here, and my buddy James is back there. Reach out to me with any of your questions. Thanks.
All right, next up we have Chad from Graham Adair. Applause.
Thanks, Rob. I'm an immigration attorney. I specialize in business immigration, and so if you come talk to me now, the consultation's free. If you wait till tomorrow, it's $600 an hour. So come talk to me. No, we help corporations and individuals navigate work visas, travel visas, green cards, both into the United States and into other countries as well. Most major countries we do work in. So, thank you.
So though our local mission in Silicon Valley is to help entrepreneurs here, our global mission is to democratize entrepreneurship and innovation all around the world. To that end, we maintain a robust YouTube channel, youtube.com/idea to IPO. Check it out, we have tons of videos there. And this rich, valuable content is available on demand, anytime, anywhere, totally free of charge. Our partner in this endeavor is Tim Jeggers, one of the top professional videographers and digital media experts in Silicon Valley. So let's hear it for Tim. Applause.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm Tim Jeggers. I've been doing videos with Rob and Idea to IPO since like 2015 now. I'm the owner and lead creator at Pacific Bay Media. We operate here all throughout the Bay Area. We do stuff, been doing a few things around the country now, kind of growing, kind of expanding. I have a small team, but we do everything from like medium-sized productions, not quite movie-level stuff, but we've got a team for pretty much any kind of multimedia project. And yeah, so if you have any more questions about video, photography, or what I do, I'll be around, and I'd be more than happy to let you pick my brain later. So yeah, thanks for having us, and thanks for coming, and I'll get back to Rob.
So here's the schedule for the rest of the evening. Our featured speaker will deliver a brilliant, compelling, dynamic, entertaining, and scintillating presentation. Right, Sanjit?
All right.
No pressure.
Okay.
We have
He's at the stage.
We have high standards here. Then we're going to open up to questions from the audience from 8 p.m. to 8:30. We'll wrap up the program at about 8:30 p.m. Stick around, network, socialize, and connect. As a courtesy to Procopio, we would like to leave the building by roughly 9 p.m. There's an after party, and we have three choices. Three choices, once again, are the Rosewood. It's Tuesday night, not Thursday. The patio, and Pizza My Heart. So more on that later. So it's my pleasure right now to introduce our featured speaker. He is an entrepreneur, an investor, a venture capitalist, an author, a thought leader, and a dynamic speaker. So let's give it up for Dr. Sanjit Singh Dang. Applause.
Thank you very much, Rob, my dear friend Rob, for the opportunity. Thanks for inviting. Thank you, my dear friend Roger, Kevin is here too. Thank you to the Procopio team for hosting, sponsoring everything. Thank you to all the other sponsors as well. And most importantly, thank you to all of you for taking the time out on a weekday evening out of your busy schedules for coming here. So let's start with the market right before ChatGPT came up. Interest rates were going up. People were saying, hey, my sales are going down. This is last year, Q3, Q4 timeframe last year. In a typical conversation in sales meetings was, hey, my numbers are going down. I have to adjust the earnings forecast for the current quarter. Did competitor lower their prices? Is the market pricing going down? Are corporations firing and hence also cutting down on spending? This was the environment. And tax changes, interest rate fluctuations. Everybody was asking, will there be a rebound in Q4 next year? I think that question still remains, will there be a rebound? And there's always this question every year, will there be a rebound in Q4? And then the AI war began, all of a sudden. The day ChatGPT was released, I think the world changed its mind. The focal point of discussion just moved away from the economy to just ChatGPT. We don't realize it, that ChatGPT actually by itself is an economy. It's not a tool, it's not an app, it's not just a website. By the way, they just released iOS app. Has anybody used it? How many people have used the iOS app? Should try it out. It has capabilities like, Shyam sitting here just texted me, hey, I am sitting here listening to the speech, I have a few questions. You can say, hey, ChatGPT, can you create a response and text Shyam back based on so-and-so? It's quite powerful. And I think it is beyond what you see on the web. So it is worth seeing. And then the whole question about, is Google going to die? How many people think Google is going to die? 1, 2, maybe 3. How many people think current CEO Sundar Pichai will still remain the CEO 1 year from now? Only 3 people. I think Google it's not going to die, of course. Google has a lot of good assets. But it was a wake-up moment, very clearly, for Google. This is the kind of market shift that triggers CEO changes, board changes. That's why you have those executives up there to think strategically and position the company in the future. If you can't do that, then just running operations as a COO can do it too. So that's the big difference between CEO and COO. So we'll see. How many people have tried Google Bard? Oh, quite a few, 10, 12 people. And how do you compare it to ChatGPT? Nowhere close. Yeah, Google is waking up. It's going to take time. And we'll learn through this presentation as we discuss this. It's not an overnight thing to develop an LLM. LLM stands for large language model, which is what GPT is. So no matter, you may have billions of dollars and tens of thousands of AI engineers. It takes time. So we'll see what happens. But I think the war was very interesting. And from a consumer standpoint, for all of us, it's awesome. Right? Don't you like the options? Don't you like the choices? It's phenomenal. This is why I hope I never have to leave Silicon Valley. This is the most exciting thing about Silicon Valley. And not just the successes, but even the failures. The fact that we take risks and we disrupt ourselves. Silicon Valley, to me, is not a place. I came here 22 years ago, right after grad school, and I started understanding people think differently here. You go to social gatherings, just friends, get-togethers, in parks, etc., or even gurudwaras with Sikh temples. People talk about, hey, somebody told me at that time, this is in year 2000, I'm leaving Cisco and starting, and thinking about starting, I'm going to take a 4-month break, and then I'm going to think about what I want to do for my startup. And I was thinking there, and he said, my dad is very sad. I remember that. An Indian gentleman. And he said, my dad is very sad that at the peak of my career, I'm leaving Cisco, and with no clear goal of what I'm going to do. But I started to understand why. It was a shock to me also when I was like, yeah, why would you? Outside Silicon Valley, people may not do it, maybe in New York, here and there. So that's the mindset of risk-taking, of working together as a village, helping each other. I totally admire that in Silicon Valley. So VCs don't want to be left behind. VCs also didn't know. How many people think VCs knew ChatGPT is going to be a success? Nobody knew. Nobody knew. VCs are not that smart. You guys give way too much credit to VCs, I think. They learn from entrepreneurs like you. So you can see they started spending in Q1. So deals started to go up. But I think we are just at the beginning of a new AI era. We used to do what I would call basic AI, pretty fundamental. Carlos, what do you do for finance for startups? So Carlos does Google searches looking for maybe finance models or macros for spreadsheets or other such things related to finance. Or he uses maybe, I don't know, Intuit, QuickBooks, or other such software. So he does all of this online, so Google learns. Or he sometimes does it on the phone, iOS, Apple learns. So he starts to see ads, he starts to see recommendations related to finance for startups. That's all what ads are doing. Pretty basic. If he searches everything anonymously without even giving his cookie or the IP address, they would know nothing about Carlos. So it's not very smart. They have massive data, of course. Google has massive data. But I'm talking about the sophistication and the depth of AI to augment mankind. That doesn't exist today. So that's why I call it pretty basic AI. DataRobot is a company, but you can put a list of like 15, 20 companies. I'm not an investor in DataRobot, just to be clear. But that could just say, hey, okay, in a manufacturing environment, you want to build an analytics app based on the machine data and predict what could happen when the machine could fail? Fine, yeah. So that's basic AI. And then GPT came, and people started to understand what AI could actually be. OpenAI showed us. I hope everybody knows OpenAI is the name of the company behind the product, ChatGPT, and GPT is the model behind the application called ChatGPT. So OpenAI is the company that I'm referring to. So it came up and showed us, hey, what's possible? And then Google started to compete or wake up. Anthropic is another company competing with OpenAI, but we are really in this era. I think we need to get to this. And towards the end of the slide presentation, I'll talk about some themes or some examples or use cases of what true AI can be. So does everybody know what generative AI is? How many people know what is generative AI? Fundamentals. Anybody wants to shout out? I'll repeat. What is generative AI?
Generative AI is, I can be very technical here.
Sure.
So, the thing is to get from large amounts of data is to understand the probability distribution data points, and thus, when you have these probability distributions, you can resample them and generate data that looks very much like the original data, something like that.
So that's analytics, closer to big data analytics. But why use the word generative? Create. Create new content. Till now, you did not have the capability at your fingertips to create new content. Now you can create new essays, new text, new poems, new answers, new letters, new speeches. And I did not write the speech with ChatGPT, just to be clear. You can create images. By the way, the same company, OpenAI, also has a software called DALL-E, less popular. I think they still need to work on its improvement, but you can create images.
Because of the mid-journey.
Because of what?
Mid-journey.
Yeah. So we'll see, but over time, I think they'll get there. But you can generate text, images, or other media in response to the keyword. With Google search, we all learned how to create queries. With ChatGPT, we're going to learn how to create prompts. Big difference. It's going to teach the mankind how do you prompt an engine. The engine is as good as what you feed in and what prompt you give. So I think people are not realizing, but we are all in an educational era of prompt engineering, thanks to GPT. How do you create the right prompt so you get the answer? If you want GPT to write a piece of code, then you got to tell all the parameters around it. You got to cover all the bases, all the use cases, all the edge cases, for example. If I say a prompt, hey, can you write a poem for Japanese visitors coming to Silicon Valley? It will write a generic poem, sure. But if I say, can you write a poem for, I'm making it up, let's say Japanese companies like Toyota and Sony executives, be more specific, visiting Google and Facebook and Cisco and so on and learning from it. It's different. So I think we are all going to learn prompt engineering. And the other capability that search today doesn't provide, that GPT provides, is you can have a dialogue, also called anaphora, a less commonly used word, but less commonly used term. But you can have a dialogue. It gives you an answer. You can say, I liked your answer, but can you improve upon this? Some of that capability exists in Amazon Echo, but pretty basic, I think. GPT is printed to 1 million users. I think I don't want to spend time on these numbers, but and I feel these graphs are actually misleading also, because comparing data from 2022 to 99, we're in a different era of connectivity, device accessibility, all of that. But I still used it just to show the scale and the impact and the growth rate of GPT. And then there is data around by age. I actually don't have the veracity on this data, honestly speaking. I actually was questioning it myself too, but I think you can find it online. But let's talk behind GPT. How do you train GPT? I think data is still the oil. I've actually had that as an investment thesis for a number of years. Barring ChatGPT, one of the investment theses that I've followed is, if a startup would come to me and say, I have a fantastic big data analytics algorithm, let's say for supply chain, I can analyze the supply chain data and tell you where the risks are for an item shipping from country A to country B so you can take action. My algorithm can specifically point out. My question back to them is 2 years from now, somebody else will come up with a better algorithm. What's your moat at that time? And my thesis on that has been, investment thesis on that has been, show me the data you have. Because 2 years from now, when your competitor has a better algorithm, you should have data to protect your competitive advantage. There's a famous paper by Google, data, I think Peter Norvig wrote, around data, you can find it online. He even claims that, hey, algorithms at Google are awesome, very well done, and tweaked over the years. It's hard for competitors to come up with those, fine. But data is really what keeps. Data trumps algorithms. That's actually the name of the paper. It's a research paper, Data Trumps Algorithms. It's a fantastic research paper to read and comprehend on why. Is data more valuable than the AI or big data analytics algorithms? And behind the GPT engine, obviously there are tons of data points that have been fed that have resulted in what we see. Even that data is not enough. You know, ChatGPT has a cutoff date. It doesn't know events that happened after. What date?
November 2021.
She says November 2021. Somebody said? September 2021. You were close. It doesn't matter. We don't have to be scientists. But, you know, there's a gap. So if you ask it, hey, for an event that happened last month, it says, sorry. The interesting thing about data, though, is there is lagging data and there is leading data. And I want data to be able to predict the future. Tell me what happened wrong in the past, fine. But also, and rather more importantly, tell me what's going to happen in the future. When will an earthquake happen in San Francisco next? Tell me today. You know, I live in Fremont. It actually sits on a fault line. And in our neighborhood, I was brainstorming with the HOA, and I said, hey, if we put a chandelier close to the most commonly happening fault point, the epicenter point, and I could put a sensor on that chandelier because chandelier will move. I could put a motion sensor. I'll get a signal 3 seconds before the earthquake actually reaches me. So we are going to try that experiment. If it works, we'll see. Then we'll proliferate. We'll give it out to everybody. But you could play around with these things, right? I mean, that's where the power of analytics, power of sensing, power of data really comes alive. You save lives. And if I can't predict the future using data or using ChatGPT, then come on, when it's opportunity wasted. You know, even Amazon Go, I believe is more for user data. This is an old article that I found. I was looking for really more proof about that. I believe it's more about user data. They don't need to open stores. They're selling fine online. Why would they open stores? It's to learn more about your offline buying behaviors so they can sell you more products online. Because shopping is a continuum mechanism. It has a continuum. You start thinking at home, then you go to Walmart. You go to Walmart, you search on Amazon, how much is this for? And then you say, hey, no, I still don't like it. I'll go to Best Buy. And you go to Best Buy, you find out, no, you know, the Amazon link was better. I'll just end up on Amazon. So that's a common journey. So offline to online commerce are quite merged. So while there is a rise of e-commerce, and that will continue to rise, which is great, the challenge for online companies is to understand the consumer behavior offline. Why do you think Amazon created Echo? All the time. What are you thinking? I'm sorry? So now you can map Amazon Echo. You go to the Amazon stores, and then you go online. They want to control the continuum, the entire journey of your shopping thinking, right? Your shopping journey. So the reason I'm giving this Amazon example in this GPT talk is because you got to understand how companies think of consumer data. I want to talk about a very important point that GPT taught us. When was GPT released? November which year? November last year. Anybody? I'm sorry? September last year? Yeah. Sure, ask. When was GPT released?
GPT-1 in June 2018. Since then, various versions, including 2 and 3, have been released up to Hugging Face Team in August 2020.
So for those who couldn't hear it, GPT-1 was released in 2018. GPT-2 came after that. GPT-3 came in June 2020. How many people heard about GPT in June 2020? 2. How many people heard about ChatGPT when it came out in November 2022? Everybody. Why? GPT was not new, guys. GPT existed for 2.5 years. You guys didn't even know. This is the power of consumer accessibility. GPT came out in June 2020. November 22, ChatGPT, the application was released. We talked about it, 1 million users in 5 days and growing to 100 million. The point is, once you take a very sophisticated piece of technology and you give it out just like that, nobody notices. But if you blend it with an accessibility application for consumers, the world erupts. One without the other is insufficient. So as startups, as entrepreneurs, if you are thinking of, hey, how many users, doesn't matter whether it's a consumer app or an enterprise app, how many users can I attain? You got to think, is my product sophisticated enough in technology? And is my product going to be easy to access for consumers? Or business users. Business users are also consumers. How many people here are selling enterprise products? B2B? You know, for you guys, the user experience bar is set by consumer apps. Google, Uber, all of those, and ChatGPT now. It's the same person who uses those apps as a consumer, then walks into the enterprise, works at Dell, Cisco, etc., and asks for your product. So he or she is going to ask for the same user experience. So it is very important to understand that even though GPT was there for 2.5 years, nobody noticed it till the application ChatGPT came out. There is another example of this. How many people remember Netscape browser? Netscape browser was based on TCP/IP. TCP/IP was there for at least 2 decades. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. It was used for some niche applications. The moment Mark Andreessen created Netscape, the browser, now you gave, it's the ChatGPT moment, guys. Now you gave that power of a sophisticated piece of technology in the hands of consumers. Accessible. I can search, I can go online, I can go to CNN.com, I can go to this website, wow. And after that, the browser took off. You could probably plot the user growth at that time based on Netscape and user growth based on ChatGPT. And if you normalize it, you'll probably see maybe this one is going to be faster, of course, but you will see similar trend lines. So it's fascinating to think and analyze why a model that was released in June 2020 did not go viral by itself. So that is a big lesson or big point to analyze for startups as you release products. Again, whether it is for consumers or for enterprises. How much does it cost to train a GPT engine? Roughly. Couple $100,000. What's that? $500 million. Computing cost by itself. How many engineers does OpenAI have? Roughly? 800? Yeah, I think it's around 700, something like that. They probably don't even have a marketing team. Do they need to do? They probably have a small marketing team, I don't know, but mostly engineers, around 700. So how much is the compute cost? I heard $500 million, $200,000. Speak up. 100 what? $100 million. How much money has OpenAI raised? It's public knowledge. 10 billion. Before that, they raised around $1 billion. So roughly $11 billion. Why do you think they need that much money? What is Sam Altman going to do with that money? A startup raising $11 billion? Are you kidding me? There are countries in the world that don't have a budget of $11 billion. You need, speak up.
You need the computer infrastructure to run it.
You need a full compute infrastructure to train the model. And that takes months and months. What is the parameter count? GPT-3 is 175 billion parameters. GPT-4 is 100 trillion. Think about the cost it will take and how many machines do you need to train. How much data can one machine run? You all have laptop, take it to the extreme. Sophisticated machine that you get in Best Buy or what's available online, still quite limited. How much can it process? Irrespective of whether you put a GPU, CPU difference, there is a difference, but still. So you need tens of machines just to process a single layer. It costs around $1 billion just to train an LLM. I'm not talking of OpenAI particularly or Anthropic, its competitor, but it costs that much. And that is only for a basic LLM. OpenAI raised $11 billion. There's a reason behind it. It's not just, hey, this is working, let's just pump money into it, right? It's not mindless. So you got to start understanding and thinking the business model behind generative AI. It's like If some of you are familiar with the semiconductor world, in that world they spend $5 to $10 billion to put a fab. Costs quite a lot, even before they know there's going to be demand, because it takes, I don't know, 5 years or even longer to ramp up the fab, equip it, get it ready, develop the technology, process technology, all of that. So similarly here, to train an LLM, it's going to take that much. And keep in mind, you spend, as a generative AI company, you spend that much money. In 2 years, the GPU changes. Now you got to upgrade or replace the machines again. This is a constant, never-ending CapEx cycle for generative AI companies. It's not for the faint of heart. What do you think will happen to open source LLM models in this scenario? Do you think somebody can build an open source competitor to current companies we are seeing?
I think it's more likely that proprietary technologies will be partially open source so that people can plug in, but that will establish that technology as the prevailing technology.
Good, that could be, but they will not want to open source. What I think can happen is you will see development of pretty focused, pretty niche large language models focused on one thing. He may be teaching English grammar to elementary school students. Here is an LLM for that. That's a use case that needs to be open sourced. Or safety for autonomous cars. But they will have a niche use case and a specific dictionary under which they will be trained. That's what I think will happen. How do you think the market will evolve? How many generative AI companies do you know of? OpenAI, what else? Sorry? Okay, what's that? Honeyface, yeah. Anthropic, anybody heard of Anthropic? They just announced a round today. Stability AI. Adobe is working on it too, probably. Google Bard. So there are a bunch of companies coming up, and everybody's raising at least $1 billion to start with. Billion is like the base number. I think we're going to see this market play out like how we have seen the cloud market play out. There was the pioneer that still commands the majority of the market. For a long, long time, there was really no Microsoft Azure. Google was quite behind. And I haven't drawn this to scale, by the way, but I'm just trying to reflect the current state of the cloud market. I think you will see a similar play out in the generative AI market. I'm not going to claim who is going to be in the first bucket versus second versus third, but there's going to be a seniority here in market share. Because it's going to take a long time to develop a new model. Even for an established incumbent like Google or Facebook or Amazon. So they are in a catch-up mode. And open source, I think, is going to play a very niche role here. Open source developers may play a role in terms of features that get plugged into the proprietary models, but creating a standalone LLM is tough. A generic standalone LLM, going to be pretty tough. So, we talked about, who's Sam Altman, by the way? Everybody knows that? CEO and founder of OpenAI. We talked about OpenAI, but this is after the fact. It was released November. Everybody talks about it. So what's the big deal? We are behind. The real question is to understand what's coming next, and to be ahead in your thinking, irrespective of whether you can go build it or not, but at least have an understanding of what's coming next. So I thought I'll show you, and what I'm going to show, I am an investor in the company, but that's absolutely not the reason why I wanted to show this. I just picked Sam Altman because he's the CEO of OpenAI, and he's building this. Sorry, this is my picture. But he's working on something which is quite fascinating, purely from an intellectual learning standpoint. It may fail. It may never become as successful as OpenAI is, but he is building it because he believes in it. He wants to create this, and there's ample public knowledge, but I think the hype is quite low, so it is still in pseudo-cell stealth mode. But his point is every person on Earth should have a digital ID, an identity, a digital identity. And he also says that we are entering an era, because of the rise of AI, you're going to see rise of bots. Who likes to click on those captchas or show me, click on pictures with bicycles? Rob says yes, I like. Pretty soon, AI software will be able to do that too. So there will be no differentiation between human and bot. So WorldCoin is building an iris verification system, and this is again publicly available information, where with the iris scan they can differentiate between human and bot. And everybody gets an identity. It's in your hands. You are you command it who to share with, where it goes, not the government. So it's a pretty decentralized world of digital identity that we are going to hopefully see pretty soon. So something to check out. I talked earlier about three phases of AI: basic AI, generative AI, and I said true AI. I'll come to that. What true AI really means, and I think this also is a question back to entrepreneurs in the room: what can you build with a sophisticated engine like GPT or Claude by Anthropic and others? What is this? How difficult is it to build the hardware? It's actually easier than building your Toyota Camry. You don't have to put a steering wheel. You don't have to put a lot of things. Take all of that out, put 4 seats. That's the car. It's actually a pretty easy hardware to design, I think. Then what's the problem? Trust. Safety. Regulations. What's that? Error margins. Insurance, absolutely. So all of those are very good points. You don't have those solutions because you don't actually have the first you don't have the base technology. You need AI. And you need multimodal AI, not just text. You need image analytics, you need video analytics. There are cameras around the car, obviously. So you need to be able to incorporate and analyze all of that data in real time. What is this? Is it a car or is it my gaming room at home? Why do people have to go to gym at 7 in the morning, 7 to 8, then go to work at 8? Why can't I do it in parallel? Yeah. And robo-taxis are already here. I put a picture of Tesla, but Cruise is running. But I think the best is yet to come. I'm really hoping for an iCar. I think it'll change how electric cars are and how self-driving cars are. I think it's going to be totally different. What if you marry generative AI and car? Insane. Now you have a super intelligent car that can say, hey, Rob, you have been doing too many events. You're tired. Roger, get off that phone. Go. Sit in the car. I'll take you somewhere. And then flying cars, I don't want to talk. I saw a demo. I have no investment in this company. I just thought I'll put a picture. And why just flying cars? Planes. And they need AI too to be able to navigate. Same problem. And by the way, boats too. These are real companies, and none of these are my investments, by the way. But they can go to places where humans can't. So think of the possibilities that a sophisticated AI engine, a generative AI engine, can yield for you. I think even glasses. We saw some kludgy glasses designs, these heavy VR glasses that nobody really wants to put on the forehead, or simple glasses like Google Glass that didn't work, unfortunately. I thought it was a good product, but didn't have the application or maybe the consumer accessibility. But I think you will see a revival. This is an Apple patent. It's public information. The other thing that I feel the world is not talking about is that visual commerce is going to rise. We are too much used to going to websites, jcpenney.com, or even amazon.com, and browsing through mainly text and then a few images sprinkled around. I think you're going to see a total transformation of e-commerce, total transformation. Because GPT can do text, generate text on the fly. What's your name? Mujahid? Mujahid went to a website to buy a men's jacket. And based on his click-through behavior today, the website actually customizes. They will say, OK, he's been shopping for 10 minutes, didn't buy, show him a coupon. That's very basic AI. But imagine you go to a website and it changes everything. The image, the deals, the models, the options, everything changes on the fly for you. It is possible now. It was not possible earlier. So we are going to see a whole redesign of a website in a real-time manner by AI. Real-time, not based on your purchase history. And I think we're going to see some existing website companies in trouble. You're going to see new AI website creation companies. All they provide you, when you go try to create a website, all they provide you is stock images. Now I have capability to create images on the fly. Why do I need stock images? It all looks nice till you see the dark side. I have my friend Greg Tanaka over here, serial entrepreneur, and I would like him to chime in as well, because I do think AI is watching us. I think AI is actually the new poison pill for mankind. What's that? Yeah. So as we start using more AI, we are also creating more data that's going to create better the AI, and that's going to start at some point say, hey, who are these stupid? Who is the stupid guy talking about AI, and who are these 50 people in the room? I can rule them. They're so behind. You saw this picture in the news this week? Sam Altman in DC. I think he took the right tone, I felt, instead of taking a conflict. He said, hey, we should have guardrails, which is, I think, the right thing to do. But that's just a start on AI safety. You're going to have to teach AI. And AI is going to say, sorry, I am teaching you versus the other way around. So that's what I had. I hope it was enriching, entertaining, helpful, useful. Happy to answer any questions. I would also love feedback so I can do better next time.
Let's give it
But
up.
thank you for your time.
Give it up for Sanjit. So we all agree that you exceeded expectations.
Uh-oh.
And I'm sure it wasn't prepared by ChatGPT.
It was absolutely not. I can attest to that.
Okay. So now it's time for audience Q&A. So if you have a question for Sanjit, we have a line here. Come on up to the mic stand. It's not a pitch event, though, so don't deliver a pitch or thinly disguised pitch. Joe is our bouncer, so if you decide to deliver a pitch or thinly disguised pitch, Joe's going to deal with you. Anyway, you've been forewarned. So any questions? Barry, come on down.
Kind of a tinkerer, an inventor, and have patents. Who or where do you think the legal precedents will land about who owns generative content? For instance, if I ask an AI to generate a supercapacitor battery replacement circuit, does the AI own it if it generates it, or do I own it?
Yeah, today the AI owns it, but I don't think it should. I think there needs to be a new IP ownership model that needs to be created. Otherwise, one company or maybe 2 or 3 companies will start owning the world's IP. And that's just not right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the amazing presentation. We definitely learned a great deal of things today. I'm curious more about the aspect of the philosophy of the situation. I was speaking earlier that as humans we're often controlled / motivated by fear and greed, and living in a capitalist system we're often seeking how much money can we make, which will also allow a lot of people to be out of jobs, as well as concentration of capital for certain people more than others. There's also the war aspect of things, where AI is being used to used for weapons and all that things. And also with the development of all these tools, intelligence enables control. And I'm curious, where do you see humanity going with that direction? I know you mentioned briefly about the risk aspect of things, but the only reason that humans have been able to acquire dogs and cats is because we're smart enough to be able to build a house to have the cat in there. And I feel like we're being the cat right now with this technology. So obviously there's different benefits out of it, but you can't control what you can control. So I was curious, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tussle between mankind and AI. We are helping AI become smart to our peril eventually. So we need to put guardrails on what data we can feed to AI engines and what we can allow AI to do. I think the use cases of AI for social good are enormous, and if we channel AI in that direction, it's phenomenal. It can maybe eradicate world poverty, world hunger, a lot of problems that we have not been able to solve. But if you don't put boundaries on it, then we're going to be in that situation where intelligence has the control, like you said, and that's going to be dangerous. You don't want weapons or nuclear power plants, all of those, to be under AI control.
Yeah, and how do you
for
protect
obvious
yourself as a person or as a normal human being? How do you protect yourself from your data being exploited versus?
I think we need to empower the common man with data, control over data, opt-in, but also AI opt-in.
Oh.
Do I want my data to be used to train the AI engine? Yes or no? I should have the ability to say no. Thank you, Mujahid. Hi.
Hi, my name is Vega, and my question centers around risk and how we talk about risk as we launch AI into the world and as we all start using it and it becomes part of our lives and part of our cultures. You had one slide on risk, and you probably spent 2% of your time on it. But like my thoughts are consumed with all the risk. So not just the intelligence risk. I mean, I think can all appreciate the intelligence risk. I think we understand that there's thought control on the horizon, right? But also resource risk. Like if we need all this computing power, what's going to happen to our Earth's resources? Can we keep up? I'd love to see a slide on that. And I think that as we start, and then we, just to further that topic, like as we start using Earth's resources and we consume and we create trash and waste, and we put more satellites into the our orbit, low Earth orbit, we are approaching the Kessler syndrome where we can't even escape Earth's orbit, right? So like I think as we start using AI, I think we should all consider taking on the responsibility of speaking to the risks and really in a larger way than one slide at the end. Right?
No,
There's a
I
ton of
totally
risk.
agree, Vega, and I apologize that I didn't talk enough about the risk.
Not a criticism. This is
No,
just
no,
like
no,
we're developing the way we talk about AI and the way that we interact with it and how we interact
I
with each
totally
other about
agree
it.
that risks and rewards here need to go in parallel and need to be managed in parallel. If we don't manage it, then it's going to get catastrophic.
Yeah.
For sure. And beyond just the intelligence risks.
Yeah.
Way more risks as well. And there are risks to Earth's resources, like you pointed out. Even, the server farms that we create, they consume a lot of water.
Yeah, that's true.
And electronic waste eventually. So there are a lot of repercussions of AI that are subsurface.
I would love to see that slide that models the resource use, right?
Yeah.
As we,
Sure.
take it on in more aspects of our
I'll
lives.
take a stab at it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I was thinking about is like, say we have something wrong with our body and where a surgeon says, hey, I can do this surgery. So we have a back pain and the surgeon says, hey, I can do this surgery. Well, maybe our back pain is like 4 out of 10. We're like, it kind of hurts, it's annoying. But we know that a back surgery is 50-50, right? Those are not good odds, right? So you have a small problem and a pretty big risk for surgery. But what we're looking at with AI is something, it's not just back pain. It's not just a back surgery. It's not a 50-50. It's a very high percentage that this power will be used for evil, right? And so I think we need to speak about
the boundaries and the guardrails.
the boundaries and the guardrails, but not just that, just the risk to something going really wrong and the consequence, the risk and the consequence. What's the percentage chances something could go wrong? And if it does go wrong, how bad is it going to be? Right.
Yeah. But great points, Vega. Thank you.
So I'm curious to know, my name's Peter.
Hi,
Harlan.
Peter.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Appreciate your thoughts. And I'm curious to know if you're aware of any activity in the startup or investor community around building targeted, use case targeted agents using something like LangChain to do combined complex task reasoning using existing LLM models, but setting them up like in a nested sequence.
Yeah, there are a few cases coming up there. People want to use those in sequential order, especially for iterative learnings. Because there are some use cases where you can learn one shot and that's 80% is good enough. But then there are some use cases where car accidents is one example where you really need to drive iterative learning over years before you release the product. So that's one example. But then there are other examples as well.
Thanks.
Sure, Peter. Hello, Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I run a soccer team. My question is, how will AI affect sports, culture, entertainment, how we experience them, and how we do business?
I think the content generation piece is going to enter the media industry. There are already glimpses of that we are seeing, but I think that's quite rudimentary. We're going to start to see Hollywood-style films created purely by AI and actually released in theaters and people watching. That's one possibility, right? Sports, you could do a lot of analysis, and you could actually help. Warriors lost last week. My son was disheartened. You could actually use AI to say, hey, LeBron James on Lakers side, his next move is going to be this, so you position like that. You could use predictive AI in sports pretty nicely, actually. I think they're behind in use of AI.
Very cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, my name's Anastasia. I have more of like a 10 to 15 years in the future question. Like, eventually we'll probably end up having quantum computers, right? Like, and they'll be able to solve current AI problems that we just don't have the computing capacity to solve right now. I just was wondering if you've considered how it's going to affect the AI, or what new problems we can solve, and any input.
It will be a step function. Anastasia, good question. I think once you marry generative AI and quantum computing, you're going to see a step function shift in the model development. That's going to benefit tremendously. Also, it's going to benefit not just in terms of speed of model development, but also in terms of range, because of the way the quantum computers work. So it's going to only help tremendously. So you'll see nowadays, if it takes, 1 to 1.5 years per model to be released, you'll probably start to see in 6 months.
Yeah. So we'll probably have another AI upspike.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia. Hi, Lena.
My question is, for example, when nuclear weapons, one country develop, another country develop, and you must actually be aware which country was developing. Are you aware what AI other countries develop?
I don't know. Countries can do it in a pretty clandestine manner, so you may not be aware. Some countries are already doing AI development in a pretty walled garden approach. You don't know what they're doing. And I think over time, countries are also going to wake up to the fact that, hey, the real line of defense for me is in data and AI versus any physical assets. So they're going to start to work on their own AI.
What do you think? What is more dangerous, nuclear war or AI?
I think the AI war is lot more, can be a lot more catastrophic. Sure. Good question, Lena.
Hi. Thank you. Let's make it lower. I'm a student majoring in web and mobile app design, and my question is, do you think if we could find a way to have a global economic system, like the same economic system for the entire globe, would it be easier to implement AI into more projects? And is part of the reason AI is not taking over as quickly as it could is because we have different economic systems? Because you mentioned how for most AI projects, it costs billions of dollars, which most countries can't even afford to provide funds for.
Yeah, I think it's hard to get alignment across the globe. You could see across some regions. Maybe Europe, they did it with GDPR. Maybe they could say, hey, we'll develop our own European AI, for lack of a better word. You could see that happening. But one system for across the whole world is very tough, because then you also want countries to feed in data, and then not everybody will want to give the data. Also, I don't know whether one AI system will actually solve all the problems, because the flavor of problems, flavor of data changes quite a bit country to country, and especially region to region. The problems in Asia are different from problems in Europe compared to South America and North America. So you don't really need one. For basic chat like WhatsApp or email, you can use a universal application, but when you're talking of AI solving human problems, you have to get regional and local.
So you don't think there'll ever be an AI that can solve a majority of problems or almost all problems that the world faces?
I don't think so. I don't think one solution. You'll have portfolio of solutions.
Okay, Yeah, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Hi, my name is Ramon. From a venture capital perspective, you go to a VC and you say you have a hardware component of your company. Historically, that's been a little bit more challenging to get funding, at least lately.
Yeah.
But you talk about data as the new oil, has been for a while. Do you think generative AI kind of changes that a little bit, because certain data you can't get unless you have hardware to collect it, like a Nest thermostat or sensors in this room? So there's certainly, one could argue that we actually need hardware components of our story. So how do you see the generative AI influencing those type of companies and their
Yeah,
ability
it's a
to raise?
good observation, and also you pointed out that VCs don't like investing in hardware companies. It may change now. Generative AI is is posing the question on, hey, what is the right hardware?
Right. So do you think that's a useful way to?
I think so. I think you need to develop more custom-built hardware for generative AI, and how you can really speed up the generative AI development.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good question, Raman.
Jeff Sion. So you talked about the real AI coming in the future. Sam Altman talks about that he's not focused on anything short term, that he's about big, long cycle, massive capital investment type business models. OpenAI is not going to focus on anything short term. And as you alluded to, all the platform companies, Anthropic and the rest of them, are going to be the future AWS type of big cloud platform competing with Altman. So I'm curious, I'm sure you're familiar with Clay Christensen and his theory of disruptive evolution of companies. With what's happening with generative today and over the next couple of years, as Silicon Valley and VCs pivot into generative, are you seeing any opportunities in disruption, for example, taking some of this consumer level stuff and starting to apply it to small business?
I think you're going to see consumerization of enterprise, consumerization of business. That's one. Second, you're also going to see consolidation of solutions, which may also mean consolidation across companies. You may not have one company doing CRM only, one doing email only, one doing chat, one doing social networks. I think we're quite fragmented today in solutions space. You might start to see one company doing 5 of these and forcing consolidation across the incumbents.
Because of generative?
Because of generative AI? Yeah, because it's a multifunctionality tool. Right now, you've only seen one application, ChatGPT. It can easily do Gmail, a Gmail style application, I mean. It can create a social network. Why not? Social network is a lot more about text than video and audio. It can, tomorrow, what if one of the generative AI companies launches a Facebook competitor? Super apps could be one. WeChat has super apps, but I'm talking of with deep capability here, right? So the possibilities are quite enormous here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, Greg.
Hey, I apologize. I know you called me when I was way back there, but felt like there wasn't enough time, so I decided to come up.
Yeah.
Anyways, question for you, and you're welcome to ask me a question
Sure.
too. But
You should introduce yourself to everybody, Greg.
yeah. So Greg Tanaka. I'm not sure anyone here from Palo Alto. Okay, a few of you guys. So I'm your local city council member, and also a tech entrepreneur. So I've done a bunch of startups, including.
Greg is humble. He's a very successful tech entrepreneur. I've known him for a number of years, even before he thought about running for the council seat.
Yeah, thank you. So my question to you is this. So I think we all see generative AI to be very disruptive. And we see the rise of OpenAI, right? And the massive investment from Microsoft. But we also seen a recent paper from Google, or I think a blog post, saying that we have no moat, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we have no moat, like Google has no moat, OpenAI has no moat. And I guess the question is, from a venture capital perspective, where do you see the value aggregating in this area? Because is it going to be the LM providers? Because it looks like, for a few $100s and, some of these open source models from Microsoft, like Meta, Facebook, for a few $100s, you can make your own LLM now. Is it going to be with the open source guys? Is it going to be with, traditional big guys like Google and Microsoft, or maybe OpenAI? Or how do you see the value aggregating in this new world?
I think the model developers will own the foundational layer, and then there will be applications on top of those. Now, the model developers provide the infrastructure. They may not be the most efficient at developing the application. They can do demo applications, but somebody else may create better applications out of those. We are already seeing a plethora of startups that are that are using GPT as the engine. I'll just go to the first slide. Using GPT as the engine and creating all kinds of applications. There is a startup, I don't remember the name, somebody funded it, said, we will help you create a startup. You don't need a tech team anymore. We'll help you use GPT. So now you can start thinking, what all can come out of that. So I think part of the power will lie with the foundational layer. And that's not going to be all open source. That's going to be proprietary, unfortunately. But then there are going to be spikes of application winners. People will create fantastic applications using those foundational layers. So we're going to see whole new winners here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. I wanted your thoughts, but I think we have so many questions, especially on AI risks. We can talk offline. But please feel free to ping Greg on his thoughts on risks of AI and how to manage those, especially from a government perspective, a regulatory perspective. Hi, Mia.
Hi, I work for Cisco. So I'm just wondering, until we have something that scans our eye and everybody does that, we're going to need to be able to detect AI, and it's going to get harder and harder. Are you following the AI detection startup space? Do you have any favorites or just any thoughts on that?
Yeah. The iris recognition methodology is going to take years. It's not overnight. Till then, we have to tailor AI to not be able to fake as a human. Right? Those are the kind of things we have to put as boundary conditions in our AI systems. Yeah. Otherwise, AI can drag and do captchas and all that. It's pretty easy, actually, better than us. So that's probably the only way to prevent AI till then from doing it, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mia.
Well, first of all, why are we still doing the CAPTCHAs then? Because I think we could throw those out.
Yeah.
But so it seems to me like with the adoption rate of the AI, like at a certain point, it's just going to be feeding off of itself, right? Like how long until the majority of content online is generated by AI and just feeding off of itself?
At some point, it will need human help. It cannot be autonomously learning all the time. It will need human intervention to either create better algorithms or to feed better data. So it does need human intervention, at least for now. At some point, it might become fully autonomous. Right now it is semi.
Yeah, because it seems like where this is headed is we're going to have applications that feed into AI that manage the different AIs to create like the movies, right? And then we're going to have AI generating movies, and we're going to have AI reviewing the movies, right? And we're going to have AI creating quizzes for kids in school, and we're going to have AI answering those quizzes in school, right?
Yeah.
And so like how long until we create this Ouroboros effect where it's just feeding off of itself, and then the data, which was the oil, is all garbage? Because it's all AI generated.
Yeah. Over time, even today, actually, machines create. How much data does an aeroplane create in one flight from San Francisco to LA? Way more than what you and I can create by clicking online or searching online. Way orders of magnitude higher. So machines are already are ahead of us in data generation. Now, if you put intelligence into the machines and say, hey, I have AI-controlled machines, now they're going to start generating data way even faster. So that's a risk. And if that's the only data that gets fed into AI development, then hey, it will be all AI-controlled world. Yeah. Good to see you, Pleman, again.
Thank you. Question about the workforce. What do you think the workforce in tech companies will look like in the future? And will they need much less people? And what new careers will emerge from that?
Yeah, this question comes up, right? I think people are too worried, but people do need to upskill themselves. Somebody in a mid-career role was talking about next stage of career development, and she was thinking about going back to school to get a master's in AI. I thought it was a very smart idea. This is somebody who has been working in a corporation for 15 years. So I think it is time for all of us to think about upskilling ourselves, irrespective of what we know till now. And there will be a lot more jobs, I actually feel, but with a certain type of skill set requirement. So we got to get into the correct swim lane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pleman. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
First, thanks for an amazing speech.
Thank you.
So, since the ChatGPT and AI is so smart, so what do you think that for the next 5 to 15 years, or even 20 years, like any industry, any job, yeah, so for the next 5 to 15 or even 20 years, any industry or any jobs will be replaced? That's my first question. 'Cause
Yeah,
I feel like
some
ChatGPT
type
really
of-
helps me a lot.
I'm sorry?
So I feel ChatGPT really helps me a lot.
Yeah.
So
Some type of jobs will go away.
can you be a little bit more specific?
Yeah, basic data analytics jobs, basic content writing jobs will go away. There are, I feel, too many non-technical, non-sales jobs in large companies. They are neither developing product nor selling the product. There are people.
Consultant jobs?
No, not consultants. Program managers, or just looking at sales spreadsheets but not doing sales actually, as an example. I think some of those jobs are at risk. So as human beings, we need to ask ourselves, how do I get myself to be better trained? So
Following up on the scaling aspect or upscaling yourself, what skills do you think are crucial? I know there's like the prompt engineering and like learning how to speak with the machine is important, but I've been in this dilemma, finished a master's in finance, and I'm studying also a little bit of Python, different languages, and now it's being automated with ChatGPT. So it's like, I feel like there's so much uncertainty, and I really don't know like what would the skills that would be like needed in the future.
Can you build applications using ChatGPT API, GPT API? I know currently no, but that's a skill to learn.
So building applications, you mentioned?
Building any use cases using GPT API or using other APIs as an example.
Is coding valuable?
Coding is still valuable. Yeah, even though GPT can code, I think coding is obviously still valuable. You cannot just use a GPT code and use it and apply it to your use case, right? You have to understand the code still. So I think coding is quite valuable still, but you need to get to a little more sophisticated level of coding for certain cases.
And if you would assign percentages of soft skills versus technical skills,
yeah,
what would you put the percentage?
Soft skills, see, hard skills like technical skills get you in. Soft skills help you move up the ladder. So you will still need the soft skills. And especially AI will lack in empathy and people skills, a lot of those skills, right? It can do the hard skills work. We'll have a tough time doing soft skill work.
So like 75 to 20.
Percentage?
Yeah.
Percentage-wise, I think hard skills will still rule.
Really?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you will need to build the products.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I want to take a quick group selfie. Then we'll come to your question.
The topic hadn't been brought up, or
Yeah.
Even on a tangent, but monetization, because they're, how do you
Yeah.
because right now, let's say $7 per month, chatai.com.
Yeah.
What's the conversion rate from freebie users like myself?
I don't know the GPT conversion rate, but in general, you can assume consumers convert at a rate of 2%, free to paid. Maybe for GPT, it's a little higher, but I can't imagine it's more than 5%.
What about alternate monetization models than the subscription model?
No, but they already have those, right? When they are giving GPT to other companies, they get paid, right? For technology licensing or for API. So there are those two models exist, right? Charging the consumer and charging the companies.
I'll talk with you privately afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Let's take a group selfie. So I'm going to take from here if whosoever wants to be in. Joe, come here. No, come here. Let's see. All right, 1, 2. Thank you. Rob, you should come here. We'll do it again. Yeah, come. Have a seat. Yeah. All right, 1, 2. Thank you.
All right.
What's that?
If you would like the slides, if you email Sanjit.
Yeah, send me an email there.
And if you want a picture of the selfie, you can also email him. But anyways, Sanjit is well known in the Valley for being a selfie master.
Uh-oh.
So if you need tips on taking a selfie, talk to Sanjit. So anyway, let's give it up for Sanjit tonight.
Thank
Applause.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's hear it for our Procopio and all our sponsors. Let's hear it for our event team and our video team. Let's hear it for Joe, our bouncer. Okay, let's hear it for you, the audience.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for me.
Yay.
So stick around, network, socialize, and connect. Take more selfies with Sanjit, hopefully in front of my sign. There is an after party. So once again, here are the choices. The Rosewood. It's Tuesday night, not Thursday night. The patio. Pizza My Heart. All right. Well, it's been decided, and the winner is Procopio. We're staying here because we have lots of food. So Roger said it's okay. So enjoy the after party. Thanks for coming. See you next time.